Let's talk about adding or subtracting mixed numbers or fractions. They follow the same rule. You need a common denominator. A common denominator. And that just means that the number on the bottom of the fraction needs to be the same. In this case, you can tell that it's not. We have a 2 here, and we have a 3 here. They need to be the same to add them. Your first step is always to turn it into an improper fraction. So to turn something into an improper fraction, I'm going to multiply the denominator by the whole number and then add the numerator. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So this becomes 5, and the denominator stays exactly where it was. Over here, I'm going to multiply the denominator by the whole number, so 3 times 1 is 3, and add the number on top, and I'm going to get 4/3. I'm going to write it like this. So now I have 5/2 plus negative 4/3. You can see that the denominator on the bottom are different numbers. They need to be the same, so we're going to make them the same by finding equivalent fractions. So I'm going to look at 5/2, and I'm going to make and 4/3, and I want them to have the same number on the bottom. To me, the easiest thing always is you can always multiply the two denominators, and that will always give you a common denominator. So 2 times 3 is 6, so I'll use that for my common denominator, and then I have to make equivalent fractions. So I'm just going to look here. What did I do? What did I multiply 2 by to get 6? I multiplied it by 3. So what do I do on the bottom? I always have to do on the top to keep the value of my fraction the same. 5 times 3 is 15. If I look at 4/3, what did I multiply 3 by to get 6? I multiplied it by 2, so I have to do that to the numerator or the top number to keep my fraction equivalent. So 4 times 2 is 8, and I get 8/6. So I'm going to rewrite those over here. So instead of 5/2, I'm going to write 15/6. And instead of writing negative 4/3, I'm going to write negative 8/6. Now you can see they have a common denominator of 6. So when you do your work, the denominator, the denominator will stay the same at 6. Now when you look at the top numbers, you have to pay attention to whether or not they're both positives, both negatives, or a positive and a negative. In this case, we have a positive and a negative, so I have to subtract those numbers. And when I subtract them, 15 minus 8 is 7, and I'm going to take the sign of the bigger number. So 15 is bigger, so my answer is going to be a positive 7/6. If the signs were reversed in the 15/6, let's say the 15/6 was negative. Let's say it was negative 15/6, and we were adding that to a positive 8/6. The 6 again would stay as the denominator, and then the 15, you'd still subtract the numbers, but the 15 is bigger, so this would be a negative 7/6. But in this case, it's positive 7/6, and now we're going to turn that into a mixed number from an improper. So you can put the 7 in the box for doing division. 6 goes into 7 one time. And if you subtract 6 here, you get a remainder of 1. That goes in the top of the fraction. And again, that 6 remains on the bottom. That should be in your answer, that common denominator, unless you simplify it. So the answer to this problem is 1 1/6. Be sure to pay attention to your signs and follow the rules for integers as well as the common denominator. And again, this can be used for fractions, for subtraction as well.